And greetings. This is the Long in the Boot podcast, the podcast coming to you from the heel of the boot of Southwest Louisiana. I am your host, G Long. Across the way is Deb.
Hello, everybody.
Well, and I guess let me get this out of the way. You want to reach us by email. It's longintheboot@gmail.com. Phone number 337-502-9011. Leave a message, leave any thoughts, prayers for the folks out east, anything like that would be wonderful. And yep, here we are.
A little late.
Heel of the boot is safe apparently this time. And
the toe is in trouble.
The toe is definitely in trouble. And it's been a year. This is almost a year since the
just
Hurricane
passed
Laura.
for Laura, yeah.
And I just can't.
And we all know it's the anniversary of Katrina.
Yeah, and well, all I can say is I just hope for the best for all those folks back east. But we know,
the sympathy
from experience,
the sympathy is
what this is going to be.
Yeah,
and it's not going to be pretty. Currently, Hurricane Ida is coming in at Port Fourchon
right now,
right this very moment.
As we're doing this,
the eye is coming ashore.
And again, we're late, so nature kind of forced this on us to end up doing it today instead of last Sunday because I was sick.
Yeah, we were sick. We actually thought we may have had COVID.
We had to go back and get tested. Sunday I felt bad. I sounded bad. I'm probably still not sounding.
By the way, if you go to an urgent care, just walk in. They tell you can walk in. Don't believe that.
No, it better not be urgent.
Yeah, I want them to change the name to the Hope It's Not Urgent Care.
Yes. Well, no, it was the responsibility fell to us. We should have done it online first.
Again, it's a walk-in
But that was a
clinic.
Change from the last time I went there to get tested for COVID.
That is true.
Yes.
But
we went back to school. It's been a difficult week. We were sick, upper respiratory. Friday, of course, in the area was rough. Just the concern, for what might be for us again.
At this time last week, we were looking at it thinking, oh, this doesn't look good.
Yeah.
And it turns out the predictions of where it was going were pretty much on the money from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Just like Laura.
Yeah, that's true. Laura didn't really veer either, but we were all still gun shy from Rita as well because Rita did shift on us. A
long time ago.
But I guess things technologically have improved in meteorology.
I guess this will be our first annual hurricane episode. Hopefully we won't have any more annual hurricane episodes.
No, we could use another couple decades to.
And again, all our best wishes to all those folks back in the East.
And all the people who are currently mobilized, ready to get in there and help. It's going to be an undertaking like no other.
It's going to be horrible.
And I see the comparisons already. He said that it was worse than Laura.
Shut up.
Well,
just
okay.
All the people out there trying to compare which one had it worse. Shut up.
On the human level, it's all the same.
It is all the same.
Now, square footage and sheer number of people because of the cities that it's going to affect.
Right.
Sure, it's going to be worse than Laura in that respect.
And especially because so much industry is over there. And I'm sure oil production and a lot of other things are about to be seriously curtailed for a while. And there's no words that say anything worth saying. But
and then COVID in the backdrop.
And then we have COVID in the backdrop. There's been information on COVID. They still don't have it right. Where's the story here? I got something.
We did try to do something.
Yeah,
we did try to come up with an outline. It was going to be an amusing, humorous episode.
Let's see. Here it is. This is, I think maybe from the Times, possibly.
Picayune, New York. What?
The COVID pandemic continues to perplex and baffle scientists around the globe. The information they made up in the early months of the pandemic appear to have been mostly bullshit, while the 2 weeks they asked for to flatten the curve continues into its second year. Government officials do have good news to report, though. Now that the FDA has fully approved the Pfizer vaccine, mandates should guarantee that government officials, Pfizer stockholders, and Pfizer lobbyists should see nice fat returns on their investments this year. Spokesman for Big Pharma, Mr. I Am Money, says it's going to be a very booster Christmas in 2021.
Yeah, indeed.
I think that was the Times. I'm pretty sure that was the New York Times.
Okay,
yeah.
The times we live in, yes.
So there you go. Good news. Hey.
Well, I hope that they let that trickle down into Christmas bonuses for all of their employees as well. The little people too.
Only if
not
they
just
have the vaccine.
Well, I think the man this morning that we listened to said that his company, was it Moderna or Pfizer he worked for?
Pfizer.
He said that 90%, they're not going to mandate it. They are not
mandating. You mean the man
mandating it.
that talks like a villain from a James Bond film?
They will not mandate it, but 90% of their employees have gotten the vaccine.
Right, the jab.
Whatever the acronym
The
is,
jab.
or the term is you want to use.
And
we know the language is
and they're going to, if the mandates
fluid.
are coming, and even the president has encouraged businesses to like punish their workers if they don't get the vaccine in some fashion.
So telling private industry and private business what they need to do for the public health.
Well, when you're building a new socialist world, that's what you do. You, as the government, are required to tell companies how to act and what to produce
Sure.
and all that good stuff.
But then the consumers are exerting their own pressure on the companies as well because, how woke are you? What are your concerns? So they're getting it from both sides.
It's all about equity now, man. Mm-hmm. You gotta do it right.
Wow. All right. Well, we probably shouldn't go off to.
Well, by the way, we have said in
area.
the past we're not going to do negative stuff, but sometimes it's going to come up because there's so much negative.
There is so much going on. We'll try to.
We were going to do a funny little video, and a couple of things stopped at one. Just today, we're not feeling it because for 3 days we didn't sleep. Now I just feel sorry for the folks back east, and I couldn't be funny. I just didn't feel like it, and. Also, I have some weird sty on my eye that makes it look like I got punched.
You get that every time you get stressed.
I know. It's a stress thing. I don't understand it.
And that started earlier in the week. I'm sure there are listeners. Somebody out there probably gets a similar. You exhibit it in that physical way.
Sure.
I exhibit it in I've just been sick.
Well, it's better. It's better than what I used to do, which was to go outside and break things and cuss a lot. So
yeah, you still do that. You were stressing me out playing your game this morning.
Hey. Cussing helps.
Well, no.
Look, I hit that thing. It should have died. Okay.
Yeah,
anyway,
that computer beat you. I know.
I know. It's cheating.
It's
the computer is cheating.
So do you want to...
Let's talk about Afghanistan
start
first.
outer and move in? Like we'll go world and then move closer. I guess we started closer already.
Well, we could do the OnlyFans story.
No,
first.
let's save the funny stuff for the end. Yeah.
Okay.
There's no reason to leave these people with Afghanistan.
And no, I guess we don't want to leave on Afghanistan.
That
seems to be
too.
One more quick thing on COVID, just because I thought it was
dealing
interesting.
with it?
Well, it's the Mississippi governor.
Oh.
Yeah, the Mississippi governor was being questioned about the fact that he's been fighting any kind of restrictions or mandates or anything.
Let his people be free.
Yes, he wants his Mississippians to be free to get run over by Ida. He had an answer for a reporter why people in Mississippi just aren't scared of this darn COVID. And his answer was quite simply that because they believe in eternal life, they're not scared.
They're not worried about dying.
Nope. He says, when you believe that living on this earth is but a blip on the screen, then you don't have to be scared of things.
Okay. Well,
so there you go.
But is it not? I mean, they're healthcare workers. This is what concerns me. And
it concerns me as well.
Those poor people are working like, I can't even imagine the shifts and the pain and the emotional trauma that they're dealing with on a daily basis. The flight or fight, that we've been feeling, worrying about the hurricane, the whole country has been feeling since this all began. It's not healthy.
No, but I think that's just you know what? Don't speak for everybody in Mississippi like that and say that's the reason nobody. Look, there are people who are worried.
There must be because there are some.
I guarantee you, there are people in ICU beds in Mississippi right now that are scared.
Yeah.
Eternal life or no.
That's true.
I know that I have this life. The eternal life may or may not happen, just depending upon.
But
everything.
Most people want to stay with their loved ones.
Want to kind of hang around as long as I possibly.
They may
can.
not feel that way when they get done with Ida, though.
So I think that was a kind of a crappy thing to say.
It is.
Really.
It is. I'm concerned for our healthcare system in the state of Louisiana. I'm concerned for our education system. Our kids are in that eastern part of our state are about to take a hit.
I'm worried about the COVID outbreaks there for young people, especially because we all remember last year masks were impossible. It was just too hot. And
And you're evacuating.
You're packed with other people.
The governor said try to socially distance, but how do you do that when you?
And I'll make a prediction right now: the people that will do the most good in helping people in Louisiana will not be working for the government. They will be the local churches, the local law enforcement, and all the local folks who come together after something like this. And it will take that. This is going to be a long road.
Everybody has a role to play, whether it's just protecting you and your family, or whether you're out there serving meals, hauling water,
whatever,
putting up the mobilization that goes.
I saw somebody this morning on Facebook. I'm in Baton Rouge. Are we going to have power? Are we going to be without power for more than a week? And yes, I'll just go ahead and answer you now.
Yes, you will.
Yes, you will.
Yeah.
If you are in that line, you're going to be without power for at least 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And
maybe
some people even longer.
Faster than we had.
Well, the cities can go up, but you've still got the problem of generating facilities. We don't know how much damage they're going to get.
Yeah.
Flooding. This surge is going to be much worse than Laura's surge was.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're going up into the river parishes.
We were lucky. Laura was a fairly dry storm when it comes right down to
surge, unlike Rita. All right. Well, we gotta. Life is just a constant readjustment to our surroundings.
Then we're going to talk about something that's a little negative, and I have complaints.
Well, and I think everybody has a feeling about this, and the military. These are our sons and daughters. These are our fathers and mothers.
They are. When we started putting this together earlier, the bombing at the Kabul airport hadn't even happened yet. And so, that's the one thing. But just talking about the evacuation of Afghanistan, first and foremost,
mistakes were made.
Mistakes have been made.
Mistakes have been made.
And some people will even take credit for or take responsibility for those mistakes, sort of, kind of. So news so far, by the way, the bombings at the airport, 170 Afghan civilians died in that, 13 American troops. They're saying now, this was 3 hours ago, they warned that another terrorist attack was highly likely. 2 hours ago, a rocket attack by the airport has killed one at least. They don't know who did it. We killed 2 people who are supposedly with ISIS-K, who planned the suicide bombing at the airport the other day.
Now, ISIS-K, new, old, what does the K mean? Did you find any of that out? Because it certainly popped up. It popped up really quick in the news after all this began. Like they didn't exist, and then they did. Kind of like Dr. Fauci.
Exactly.
I didn't know him.
I knew what the K stood for, and now I don't remember, and I can't locate it right now. And it doesn't matter. It's ISIS-K. It's like Special K, but with Islam.
But a little colder.
And, and generally your Special K doesn't blow up. So there you go. Anyway, let's talk about this evacuation real quick. I'm just going to go ahead and express my opinion.
Imagine you doing that.
I know. I can't believe I'm doing that. Here's a thought. Just imagine, if you will, that you're in a place with your military and you have lots of civilians there as well. I think that the way you do it is you remove the civilians first. You don't draw down your air cover, and you don't take out your troops until you've assured that the civilians that are supposed to be evacuated are evacuated.
So you're saying women and children first?
Yes.
And then innocent men who also helped our military.
Because that's generally how it should work.
Generally. But there was a set deadline date that apparently had been negotiated?
Apparently Trump negotiated with the Taliban to leave. I get that. But once we did that, under Trump, evacuations of civilians should have begun.
At that point.
Yes,
I
this is on him too. And I should say also, by the way, that this whole thing with Afghanistan is because we went there in the first place.
Yeah.
We went there to take out Al-Qaeda. Our troops were amazing. We did that quick.
Yeah.
And then we decided we were going to build a nation.
Yes.
And so we picked.
Nation building traditionally for America hasn't done well.
And for those of you who don't know any history of Afghanistan, It's a, what's the word I'm looking for? Shithole. And it has been one of those for quite some time, since, well, even before Alexander the Great. So that's a really long time.
That is a really long time, and yet there are actual human beings living there.
There are, through no fault of their own. But Afghanistan is a tribal country, and they have been at war with each other for centuries. And what we did when we went in to build this amazing democracy.
Nation democracy.
We're so good. We're so good at this. We picked a powerful warlord and said, you guys, your tribe will be the guys running the show.
You seem to be the most in control.
Weirdly enough, other tribes did not agree. I believe the one that we put up as the dominant force was also the ones that were in charge of the poppy fields. Could that be part of the deal? Well,
but then you would be indicating and implicating America in some nefarious.
Well, spokesperson Mr. I Am Money for Big Pharma said, "Hey, we need those poppies."
We're back to the big pharma. Damn you, Fauci.
Yeah.
He's become the symbol of all that is greed and okay, maybe it's just for me.
All
I don't
that is
know.
noble and good about greed.
If you're out there and you're listening, our little wonderful community listening, and you
gonna
love
go off
Dr.
a little bit
Fauci,
today.
then I can't help you.
Hang on. I really appreciate your support. I've been doing the best that I could.
There might be somebody out there that likes him. I don't know.
And please wear a mask. Wear two.
And get more jabs.
And
because I get a quarter of a cent every time you do.
And by the way, we're working on the next variant right now.
Well, Lambda, it's already out there.
Oh no, Lambda. We're working on Omega.
No, you can't jump right to Omega. All right.
Anyway, so Afghanistan. So, okay, nation building. Well, after our successes in nation building in Vietnam.
I was going to say, haven't we tried this before? We've put many other leaders into many other positions of power that just didn't work out.
Yeah. You know, we did pretty good on Japan after World War II.
All right.
There's a nation we built.
All right.
But they were willing to cooperate.
Yeah, they didn't fight us about it at that point.
Vietnam was a rousing success, as we know.
Yes.
And you can remember because of the helicopters being shoved off the aircraft carriers as we were fleeing.
Yes, I saw many images of memes side by side showing the Afghan airstrip.
But the other night,
Saigon.
The other night, Biden came on to talk specifically about the Afghan crisis.
I know. He interrupted my Jeopardy.
Yeah, but I want to see if you notice anything about this. He's coming on to speak about, again, it was on NBC News,
yes,
and he's speaking about the Afghan crisis, okay?
Do it.
This is an NBC News special report. Here's Lester Holt.
Good day, everyone. We're coming on the air ahead of President Biden's remarks on the crisis in Afghanistan. Officials say the president will stick to the current deadline a week from today for the withdrawal. Here is the president now.
Before I update you on the meeting that I had with leaders of the G7 earlier today, I want to say a word about the progress we're making on the Build Back Better agenda here at home. I just got off the telephone with the leaders in the House. Today, the House of Representatives has taken a significant step toward making a historic investment that's going to transform America, cut taxes for working families, and position the American economy for long-term growth. When I became president, it was clear that we had to confront an immediate economic crisis, the most significant recession we've had since the Depression, or at least since Johnson. But that wasn't going to be enough. We also had to make some long-term investments in Americans and America itself.
Now, you may think that I made a mistake and played the wrong clip.
I was wondering, G-Long, what is your analysis?
No, that was actually what he did. He was coming out to make comments on the Afghanistan crisis.
And we ended up pushing the infrastructure bill.
With Build Back Better.
Yes.
All right. First of all, that's weird. Second of all,
it's subliminal, you see. He's trying to.
He's so sly. The second of all, recession. When Biden came into office, we were not in a recession.
No, we were not.
And he mentioned the worst recession since the Depression.
Or Johnson.
Well, first of all, the worst recession since the Depression was in the 1970s, following Vietnam.
Yes.
Johnson was no longer president. There was no recession while Johnson was president to speak of. because our military industrial complex was humming right along.
Yeah, we were building
stuff. We
were building things for mass destruction.
Yeah, that's
there's money there.
That's right. The stock market was ticking right along.
So we've just shifted though from.
So anyway, that's just, this is what's starting to really irritate me. And again, I have no sides when it comes to the president, Trump or Biden.
We're wagging the dog.
It's just ridiculous. But I am sure Biden, after making that comment, went right to the
Afghan.
Yeah, of course.
Issue?
I mean, he must have.
I also want to thank everyone who voted to support the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. Advancing, it's an act to restore and expand voting protections, to prevent voter suppression, and to secure the most sacred of American rights: the right to vote freely, the right to vote fairly, and the right to have your vote counted. The House is active. The Senate also has to join them to send this important bill to my desk. And the Senate has to move forward on the People's Act, critical legislation to protect our democracy and the right to vote. We need both of those election bills.
And you might once again think I picked the wrong clip, but no, that was still Biden going on before talking about the very thing
that he
called the press conference for.
Broke into jeopardy and was going to talk about.
Speaking of which, I do not think the president of the United States should be allowed to interrupt Jeopardy in the middle of the afternoon.
Not when all he's trying to do is shore up his own.
Well, first of all,
crap.
If you're coming on to address the nation,
yes,
4:30 in the afternoon ain't the time.
No, you would hope people were working.
You would do it later.
Yes.
Well, maybe. Well, never mind. I won't go there, but that's too dark.
Yeah, don't be like the Jeopardy guy and get in trouble for some crass comment.
He made some pretty nasty comments.
They both made some pretty nasty comments, but the producer guy there,
just put Amy Farrah Fowler on there and let her start asking questions.
She's getting called down
she's getting hassled because she's an anti-vaxxer.
Well, she said she's not totally, but they're like, what? Her weird science. She's a scientist. She should know better and all. Nobody's allowed anything anymore.
No, you can't.
You can't have anything. Everything you can be torn apart. And I think this is another part that wears on our brain. You can't just rip somebody apart for every single little thing they ever have said because you do it too.
And you can't go back that far. And, that guy, Mike Richards, the executive producer who.
Well, now, his stuff, I think, is a little more severe. It's not just something he said.
Well, can I point out, too, that he was in charge of who was going to get the job?
Yeah. And
he picked himself.
So, I have a little more issue there. But the Kim Jennings and his little crass joke about, hot women in wheelchairs.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
Okay. But you know what? That's the kind of crap you say at home with your friends.
Way to go, Ken
privately.
Jennings.
Don't put it on a tweet. Don't put it out there.
Whatever happened to Wink Martindale?
He probably had a dark side, too.
Probably did.
He did. Well, I'm sure he is, but it doesn't matter. All right.
Oh, no.
So,
we got more updates. I've got a thing. It's actually, this is how bad Afghanistan is. I've got it crawl, and it just keeps changing.
Okay. Well, we got to get back to Biden and his little show because
his little show.
Well,
it's the Biden show.
It is the Biden show.
It's like Pee-wee's Playhouse, but with old people.
They canceled our Trump show, and then they went on to the Biden show, and it's just a sad version.
And Biden hates all of this. You know why? He can't get to the country buffet for the early bird special so he can get to bed by 4 p.m.
Does he even know that he's missing the country buffet? I don't know. I'm not even sure he's in line.
Well, since the insurrection, and I'm not talking about the January 6th insurrection, I'm talking about the January 20th insurrection, where a bunch of crazed octogenarians took over the government and are now making decisions for a nation.
Boy, aren't they? Did you see him trying to lead Biden onto his sidewalk? He just took off through the grass, and his Secret Service like, here, sir, turn.
Well, I've got something here in a minute, and we'll talk about it in a second.
Oh, that video you made me watch.
Oh, I guess I could try to see if Biden has something to say about Afghanistan. Should we do that real quick?
You should, because these poor people are wondering what you're doing.
I'm having fun today. It's
if you listen, you listen.
Freewheeling Sunday or whatever.
But let me now turn to Afghanistan. I've met this morning with my counterparts in the G7.
His counterparts.
As well as heads of the United Nations, NATO, and the European Union. I express my thanks for the solidarity we have seen as we've stood up an unprecedented global effort I updated our partners on the significant progress we made in the past 10 days. As of this afternoon, we've helped evacuate 70,700 people just since August the 14th, 75,900 people since the end of July. Just in the past 12 hours, another 19 U.S. military flights, 18 C-17s and 1 C-130 carrying approximately 6,400 evacuees, and 31 coalition flights carrying 5,600 people have left Kabul just in the last 12 hours. A total of 50 more flights, 12,000 more people since I updated you this morning.
Bullshit.
Is there going to be anybody left in the country? You've got.
He's just trying to baffle people with numbers.
Yeah, just keep quoting numbers, and I'll remember all of that and understand. Really, what I understand is that you could have gotten those people out in a less desperate and terrifying bid if you had started
earlier.
Yeah. While there was still air
again,
coverage.
like the Titanic. Can you imagine if they had done the Titanic the way they're doing Afghanistan? What would have happened is they would have said, "Oh, we're sinking. Quick, get the crew and all of the workers in the boats. We'll sail away and then let them know
they need
that
to
it's
get
sinking."
their asses out. Get out now.
That would change the movie completely.
You just got to get from the inner part of the country to the outer part of the country.
Sure.
Get to Kabul and we'll get you out.
But don't worry. The Taliban said that we could trust them to help with this.
Well, that was the whole point of the agreement with Trump, right? Biden said that Trump.
They also, of course, have jeeps going through Kabul with loudspeakers telling women to stay inside.
No, they said they'd be more understanding.
Within Sharia law.
Yeah. All right.
All these poor women and these poor girls.
Yeah, that are
doomed.
How do you put? You always say you can't put it back in the box. Pandora's box once opened. Well, education once out there. How do you shut that down for people now?
I know.
And how do you do it with the internet out there? Oh, well, I guess they just.
And
don't
we gave them this hope. We said here's all this hope in this nice pretty package because we're building a democracy for you, and then we just took it away.
So now you've got girls who are 15 to 20 who this has been their whole life being raised in a more tolerant.
I can't even imagine the feeling if I had lost a child in Afghanistan in the war. What was it for? It's the same question that people asked about Vietnam. What was it for?
Well, sure. Well, like they said, if war is the answer, we were asking the wrong questions.
Clearly. I mean,
if nation building requires us to blow it up to the ground,
we went past our mission. We had a mission. We succeeded. We did the mission. And then the idea that we're going to rebuild this tribal country, you can't do it. You cannot take people who have no experience in self-government and just say, you're going to be a democracy. We're going to make it happen. It doesn't work.
We're going to force it on you.
Yeah, we're gonna bring it from top down. That's actually a communist model, by the way, establishing government from the top down.
As far as that goes, it is what it is at this point. As sad as that is, but so what? UN comes in, everybody helps.
Well, now we're bombing places in Afghanistan. Well, what? Huh?
Yeah.
And
now our troops have to go back.
And I have one more clip, and then
we'll talk,
and then we'll wrap up Afghanistan, because if not, I'm going to get angry.
Well, and I have a little wrap up for it. Yeah. We have amusing too.
Yes, we're not going to stick on this the whole show. That would be wrong.
Too depressing.
But I want you to listen for something in the background here, just very carefully, and see if you spot it.
Mr. President, there had not been a U.S. service member killed in combat in Afghanistan since February of 2020. You set a deadline, you pulled troops out, you sent troops back in, and now 12 Marines are dead. You said the buck stops with you. Do you bear any responsibility for the way that things have unfolded in the last 2 weeks?
I bear responsibility for fundamentally all that's happened of late. But here's the deal. I wish you'd one day say these things. You know as well as I do that the former president made a deal with the Taliban that he would get all American forces out of Afghanistan by May 1. In return, the commitment was made, and that was a year before. In return, he was given a commitment that the Taliban would continue to attack others, but would not attack any American forces. Remember that? I'm being serious. I'm asking you a question. Because before... No, wait a minute. I'm asking you a question. Is that accurate, the best...
About, but Mr. President, respectfully, since that I don't think that the issue that do you think that people have an issue with pulling out of Afghanistan?
And he lays his head down on his hands.
On his hands.
I think they have an issue that people are likely to get hurt. Some, as we've seen, have gotten killed, and that it is messy. Imagine where we'd be if I had indicated on May the 1st I was not going to renegotiate an evacuation date. We were going to stay there. I'd have only one alternative: pour thousands of more troops back into Afghanistan. Ladies and gentlemen, it was time to end a 20-year war. Thank you so much.
If he hadn't have renegotiated an evacuation date, would it be worse than it is now?
Well, that's one question right off the bat. If by May 1st you had started pulling civilians out.
At that point, knowing you had an evacuation deadline.
Right. And did he really have an actual deadline? I mean, he's willing to go take anything Trump's done and undo it.
Yeah.
But not this? Why? Because we got the word of the Taliban?
I was going to say, and the Taliban said that they wouldn't, and
Mr.
that's...
Taliban, tally me banana. Yeah. And that noise, by the way, at the beginning, if you want to go...
Yeah, we didn't talk about
There's this sound, and it's going...
Yeah, you can hear it throughout.
Well, Biden is holding his portfolio book. It's leather-bound.
His leather-bound journal.
I'm sure it smells like rich mahogany.
He's just, he's not holding it.
He is squeezing it he is so angry at the man
twisting,
asking the question.
Yeah, and when he lays his head down on it because the reporter won't answer his question, he's just so frustrated.
Some of the news stories said he broke down and cried.
No, he cried
he wasn't crying.
He cried when he prayed.
Oh, I know.
That was
at the news speech the other night.
Yeah.
But some people in the article said he was doing that here.
No, he wasn't crying here.
He was pissed off.
He was mad. He was frustrated.
He was pissed off. And then there was another news conference where they cut off the mic before he could actually answer a reporter.
Because it was an unscripted question.
Well, they're supposed to be unscripted.
No. He said the other night when I was watching him during my Jeopardy, what should have been my Jeopardy. He said, "Well, they've given me a list of who to call on here, and so and then he called on the reporter that was on the list next to ask the question. So he specifically said he had a piece of paper with a list of reporters.
But they shut that microphone right off, and so. Clearly, this is a very serious situation, and even Bella knows. And anyway, that's I guess
illustrious leader.
Yeah, we're not going to leave people behind. I mean, he said we're not going to leave people behind, but clearly we are going to leave people behind.
And what about the atrocities that are being committed that none of us know anything about? You just know it's happening.
And he said we're sticking to the August 31st deadline, which is a couple days away.
Yeah, so get to the airport if you can.
But he then followed that with, I've asked the Pentagon for contingency plans on if we have to stay longer. Either we're leaving on the 31st.
So we could have stayed longer.
Yeah.
But no, we're getting out, and it's my decision. But now we might stay longer.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, okay. Yeah. I guess I've vented enough. Yeah. By the way, for all those former people who listen, former students who served in Afghanistan, thank you for serving our nation. I'm sorry that you've had to witness this debacle.
That the leadership has been what it has been.
And by the way, Biden talking to the G7 leaders, they are pissed. They are he didn't even alert NATO that he was going to do this so
they could
rapidly.
Get their people out.
Right.
So they could there were other people there besides us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's atrocious. It really is. I read an article right after the whole runway day.
The bombing?
Long before that, when the people were just desperately clinging to
when
the
they
plane
were,
and falling off.
like
and
punting babies
those
over the
horrible
fence.
images. Yeah, that was even before that. It was an article in the Atlantic, and says all the simultaneous disasters are, messing with our brains. And it was a psychologist who was at a socially distanced event. Because, you have to say that now when you talk about something.
Yeah,
I was at an event, but it was socially distanced.
Virtue signal.
Yes, and we all wore masks, so it was good. He's at the get-together with friends, and the conversation turns to the chaos in Afghanistan. He said that someone mentioned seeing that footage of desperate Afghans clinging to the plane as it departed, falling to their death. And one of the men at the party said, yeah, that was really funny. And other people agreed. And, as a psychologist, he was a little taken aback by that comment.
Yeah,
and,
I can see that.
Although he is a person who investigates the disturbing things people think in disasters, disaster psychology at University of British Columbia. He said that just the idea that we've desensitized our minds now so much because of so many disasters is a little scary, for the empathy of humankind and where we're going to end up at the end of all of this.
And the disasters, the thing is, they're fed to us.
Yeah.
We're given a steady
24/7.
diet of
and our
panic,
kids
crisis,
with their
and
phones
disaster.
And the fight or flight thing. I mean, we all understand how it works, and we have to break that cycle at some point. But if you can't get away from it in our communication, in our video, in everything that we do, it's I think it could become a problem.
Well, that's true. It is a problem. The stress level just this week, because of the coming hurricane, you could feel it.
Yes.
And the students flat out said it.
Absolutely. It's fatigue. It's swamping our empathy. It's hard to care about anything when everything needs to be cared about. Fires.
If everything's a crisis, then nothing is.
Nothing is important because you can't do anything. It's the futility of it at that point.
Yes. And
now he did leave off the article with a little positive though, because he, for one, does not worry about extreme cold-heartedness calcifying into the norm. He says in his research, he's found disasters' effect on empathy are short-lived, and that when the pandemic is over, and all this suffering.
And when will that be?
Well, I know. I read his positive end, and I'm like, well, I need an end in sight then.
Again,
hurricane season's just starting here.
Coronaviruses, we've never wiped one out, and we're not going to wipe out this one.
Yeah. And we're going to continue to blame each other because you won't get the vaccine and it's your fault, or you won't wear a mask and it's your fault? Or,
yes. It's the new political statement. Everything is a political statement. This is what happens when you politicize every little thing.
And meanwhile, we just need people.
You know what? If you don't want the vaccine, don't get it. I don't care anymore. And
that's his point. That you are showing exactly what he's saying.
No, I don't care, because in the end, I can't change anything. And I think the trick here is
that's the futility of everything.
They make these things when they throw these out there, the mainstream media, as it's called. When they throw this stuff out there, they never offer solutions.
Well, no, and I don't have solutions either.
But they don't even ask questions anymore. They just present information. There's no reporting going on anymore. They just issue blanket statements, and that's it.
And then just leave it out there, and then we're all supposed to handle it and deal with it.
Right. And now I do predict that this hurricane, once it passes, will become the big story. Longer.
It's going to take over all.
Well, it'll be longer than Laura's story last year. And the reason, though, is so it can divert attention away from the debacle that is Afghanistan.
All that. Yeah, absolutely. And it may take off the COVID stuff for a little while. I really am concerned about our state in the next 2 weeks, and Mississippi.
Yeah. By the way, in Europe, another podcast I listened to, he's in Amsterdam. He was talking about how many of the television networks in Europe have just agreed not to talk about COVID.
They're just not going to do COVID.
They're just not going to do COVID stories. They're not going to talk about it.
Because other things are happening in life.
Right. But their reason is exhaustion.
Exhaustion, yeah.
This viewer exhaustion.
Yeah,
People don't want to hear it anymore. So
everybody wants
there
to
you go.
tune in for the
And in honor of not talking about COVID anymore, I think we'll stop talking about COVID.
I think I agree with you.
All right. What else we got?
Well, in big, important news, we have the OnlyFans site that has caused some serious upset for some of their content creators. I have to keep reminding myself what it is that they're actually calling themselves, content
Well, first
creators.
we got to talk about what happened. First of all, if you're one of the, 3 people who don't know what the OnlyFans site is, it's a site where people can pay a fee to host basically 20% of whatever they take in revenue. And they can then empower themselves through showing themselves in various states of undress and in sexual acts that people then pay for.
Pay them and subscribe. It's a monthly subscription.
It's a subscription.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you also just do a one shot?
Well, actually, you can do anything on OnlyFans.
I don't really know any of this.
That lady, the Dozel or whatever her name was. She was the white woman.
She was a professor
who thought she was black and was convinced. She actually said
she was getting in trouble because she defrauded the government or something for student
She was
loans.
working as the president for the local chapter of the NAACP.
and
claiming she was black, but she was in fact not. Well,
but she identified as black.
She says she is a black person in a white person's body.
And then we all, of course, saw her.
Then we all have to go.
She's white.
Yeah, but we're now required because of everything
societal
to
rules.
agree with her. I guess
society's norms now.
Anyway, she actually does feet.
She does foot porn.
Well, not porn, just
I know.
I don't know
feet.
I'm not going to go look. Ew. I can't even imagine that she would have nice feet anyway.
Yeah.
and I'm not paying a fee to look at somebody's
subscription
feet.
for that.
The only way that
Well, is it? But it's not harmful to anybody.
I mean, it's not harmful to anybody, but the only way money should be being exchanged for looking at feet is you giving money to a podiatrist. Okay? That is it. Stop it.
I don't know. All right. Well, the story first attracted me because of the headline, former teacher and college student join OnlyFans creators speaking out on pornography ban. So I didn't really know. Yeah, I didn't really know anything about OnlyFans, and so I
Tim
saw
Stokely, the CEO of OnlyFans, announced that he was no longer going to allow pornographic content on the OnlyFans platform.
Yes, but he didn't inform them in a timely manner before he just announced it, and it caused some grief for some of the creators.
Correct.
Yes, especially this former teacher and student. I don't know why the headline had to
empowered.
I don't know why she had to be listed in the headline as a former teacher and student. Does it lend credibility to her? Because
I think it's much the same way as someone who is
student,
a quote unquote exotic dancer is always a college student.
Yes. Well, she's not. She's also a model and life coach, Courtney Telia. She is one of the creators who was blindsided by the ban. She's a mother of 4. She taught special ed for 6 years before her battle with depression led her to transition into modeling, life coaching, and a fitness career 2.5 years ago. And then she launched her OnlyFans, which gives her, a 6-figure salary. She said, "This is shocking."
It empowered
Sudden
her.
and vague. Yes. I also, the images that they have on here, I'm concerned for her kids in her house because she seems to be greased in all the pictures, oiled.
I'm concerned.
Oiled.
I'm concerned because her clothing seems shabbily made.
Well, I'm not even going to comment on body or
her
any of her
boobie
clothes
keeps
or
popping
anything.
out.
Well, that was my other picture. It was the one, her in her car, where clearly there's been some kind of horrific accident because one boob has gotten completely out of its restraints.
Hey, boobies pop out.
Except for the seatbelt, which is cleverly covering
thank
the
goodness for the
nipple and
seatbelt.
areola. The other boob has stayed tightly in its
ensconced
casing, in its boudin casing. She's being held in on that side
Look,
quite well.
This is not a portrait from the French Revolution. You do not need one booby out while you storm the Bastille.
Fabric is weak and boobies pop
Straps
out.
break and boobies pop out.
Man, the amount of money these people make on this is just amazing to me.
Well,
she did. Okay, so I want to get to the end here.
The meat of the story?
Yeah.
As it were.
So, acceptable use policy prohibits creators and users from uploading or publishing content that features actual or simulated, acts. Mm-hmm. I'm going to leave out the words and the bodily fluids that go along with
Ew.
them. Yeah. See, I know it's kind of it's a meaty, juicy story.
A meaty.
Content containing nudity will continue to be allowed as long as it is consistent with the policy. So you still can have nudity, but apparently some simulations and bodily fluids and exhibitions, will not be allowed.
Bodily fluids.
You can feature body parts as long as they're not explicit or zoomed in too closely. Now, I don't know what too closely is. How close can you get?
How close can you get?
They were pretty close in her car with that seatbelt strap.
Well, with 4K, you don't want to get too close.
That may be true. You may not even be able to tell what it is. It might look like a scrotum up close or something.
Or some planet.
All right.
But there's more to the story.
There is. Hang on. I want to get to her end because she's so adamant. Courtney is just so mother of four.
And empowered.
Empowered. She's going to offer her content in October somewhere else, my explicit content elsewhere. It will be just like before, only slightly more risque, she said, because, wait, where's her last quote? Hold on. Let's get to the end. Man, that picture. And the truth is, this is my life. I'm not just going to stop expressing myself or being an entrepreneur. I'm continuing with this, whether it's in the same form or shifting.
Well, first she needs to go look at what entrepreneur means. But
well, and I'm curious, it's like this for all people who make their living this way. Well, what if there's no power?
But let's.
What if you have no internet? I mean, I'm these people in all these. So all the OnlyFans creators in New Orleans and Baton Rouge and all that
at least 3 weeks
for a little while,
unless they use their hotspot, I guess, if there's cell phone service.
I do not want to see your nasty evacuated butt. It's like,
there's more to the story, though.
Yeah, there is, because 2 days later.
That's right.
2 days later.
And here I have a story right here.
You have him?
Yes. Let me see. And again, wow, it's weird. It's from the New York Times again. This is so weird.
New York Times?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I think I have that story as well.
The world's greatest pimp and OnlyFans CEO Tim Stokely has decided that pimping is easy after all. After saying earlier this week that he was banning pornographic content from the site dedicated to empowering people through porn profit, Stokely has reversed himself after realizing that cutting off your entire revenue stream is a bad business decision. Stokely says, quote, "My mission has always been to empower people by providing them a place where they can pursue their lifelong dreams of becoming famous by performing sex acts for money.
Yes.
My decision to allow pornographic content back on my platform guarantees that my role as the world's greatest pimp will continue long into the future."
Gee, I wonder why.
So there you go.
Yeah. Well, did you see why he started it and said that in the first place?
He said it was banks were giving static.
He announced that content was being
and actually, it's not banks; it's payment handlers, and that's MasterCard and Visa.
Yeah, they were no longer going to take. But that
they changed their mind too.
They changed their mind as well.
And here
because pimping is easy.
Because pimping is easy in this case, and here's how I know. Last year, the company made $2 billion in sales. He gets 20% of that.
Good God.
And this year, it's expected to double.
Oh, my God. Well, yeah, because they took it away. Maybe that was it. Maybe it was a clever plan all along. We'll act like we're going to take it away. Make them realize, because she said she lost like $5,000 a month immediately at the announcement. The creators, the entrepreneurs, said that they lost money immediately.
I have to emphasize this: the empowered entrepreneurs.
You're only empowered as long as there's electricity. I keep going back to this. It's just common sense.
Well, that, and as long as there are people willing to pay for porn, I guess.
Well, maybe those bankers who were saying yes.
Holy crap! That's what it is. Some bankers somewhere went, my daughter no longer has money coming in.
I need her to keep working. Yes, they did an abrupt U-turn, and the world of uncertainty that the company had thrown at its creators has angered sex workers who say they've already seen an exodus in followers and income. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
They were quick to throw us to the curb.
Jeez.
Adult content creators.
Adult content creators.
Wow. We have come to the point in society where we hold that up now as
yes.
And then
Absolutely.
Part of me says, I understand.
Okay, on the one hand, if you're an adult and you want to do this, I have no problem with it whatsoever. But don't ask me to somehow have to have a level of respect for you that I reserve for people who actually invent things
or go out and work
for a living. I have more respect for somebody who goes to McDonald's and slaves away on a grill.
All right. What if Courtney Tila or a content creator takes some of their money and comes down to New Orleans and helps feed the
awesome. Let's see it.
That's a true entrepreneur.
Put that on your OnlyFans.
Entrepreneur. Yeah. Let me see you and your man. She has a Kourtney Kardashian butt. Okay. I'm sorry. I said I wasn't going to comment.
Wait, you mean
her.
She bought a butt?
I mean, it is. That thing is.
I mean, it's on her though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant maybe like it was a sculpture that she had like on the mantle. Because, nothing says class like a plaster of Paris Kourtney Kardashian ass on your mantle.
She said, this dilemma is that I've built a thriving 5-figure business and made over $500,000 on this site. So this gives me anxiety not knowing what to do. They had no idea how hard we worked to build these fan bases. She was a student. She was a teacher. She went to college.
Okay.
So
this is
she has a degree. Yeah.
All right. Are you saving those bucks? Because I'm going to tell you, well, no, by the time she's a granny, all her fans will be grannies or grampies. And I guess it'll just continue into the future.
Oh, this is a guy who's pimping his wife. Okay.
Here you go.
As a sex worker, it becomes very hard to fully trust any site you work for at the end of the day.
Exactly. So
get your own.
Here's the thing. Get your own server, get your own website, and make your own, become the entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's truly an entrepreneur.
Currently, you're just the grill cook now for Tim Stokely, who is making 20%.
You could own the salon, not just the chair.
Yeah.
Yes, rent the chair.
And you're paying 20%. You could be keeping all of that.
Although, as former business owners, we also do understand that it's much easier not to have to deal with all of the business
But you then don't have the risk of somebody saying, I'm going to pull this rug out from under you.
Your sex work is going to be curtailed.
Your art,
your creations.
Yes.
I love how we use the language. Well, obviously, we love how we use the language.
I do.
We do that all the
absolutely.
time. That's one of our core, because how else do we communicate?
Because again, I think that empowering yourself through the power of nudity and porn, well, that's as American as apple pie.
And if there's an audience for it, then...
Oh, there's always an audience.
Of course.
And wherever there is a demand, someone will supply that demand.
You think the Taliban is looking?
Well, they don't let people know they look in their caves.
Huh.
Well, they supposedly when they
the world is a complex, strange place.
Supposedly, when we finally won the game of hide and seek with Osama bin Laden, they found porn in his place there in Pakistan.
Are you just spreading malicious
that's
gossip?
I read that they found pornographic materials
in his
videos in his computer.
What else was he going to do down there?
Well, no, he had a compound. He had all kinds of people around.
No, I know he had a Hitler compound.
No, not a Hitler compound, a Pakistani compound.
Well, but he knew to do it because Hitler taught everybody.
But as good as he was at playing hide and seek, Jimmy Hoffa's still better.
Oh, there you go.
And for you kids who don't know who Jimmy Hoffa is, they're still looking. Not real hard, though.
No. I read the other day a story about that again. It keeps coming back.
Oh, did you see what else in the news real quick?
What?
Sirhan,
yes,
who assassinated Robert Kennedy. Saw what I did there?
Yeah, I did.
Is getting out. on parole.
Yeah.
Now, of course, here's the fun part.
He still maintains his innocence.
Maintains his innocence.
And the family, the Kennedys.
Some of the family agrees, some of the family doesn't agree.
Yeah.
But many of the people that were there that night said they saw another pistol.
Yeah, we had this conversation about Rosie Greer was the
Rosie Greer once said in an interview that Sirhan was behind him. And I don't know if you guys know who Rosie Greer was, but he was a big old football player.
And Sirhan is a little short
tiny,
guy. Yeah.
Tiny fella.
So there's no way that the scenario could have played out.
He would have had to climb up on Rosie Greer's back like Master Blaster to be able to get a shot.
But I'm sure that would have been brought out in evidence.
Well, if he climbed on Rosie Greer and fired a shot.
Rosie Greer would have known that.
Rosie would have noticed. Hey, there's this little fella on me.
This little dark, swarthy man.
And he's got the same first and last name.
All right.
No, that was enough.
That was
terrible.
That was terrible. I have a quote from William Shakespeare. I thought we'd end the show with it, but I still wanted you to tell one more story.
Oh, what was the other story? I don't remember.
Oh, a story of hope.
Oh, a story of hope.
Yes, we needed to end on a story of hope because this would be helpful worldwide.
Well, it's because it seems as yeah. Okay. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, no, it's just the idea that we don't talk about this stuff enough.
The good stuff?
Yeah, the kind of things that people are doing.
Well, you got your Shakespeare quote. Do you want to fire that off now? Or because I've got a quote for the end of the show.
All right. Yeah, no, I thought this was funny. Shakespeare said, "Life is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing." Told by an idiot.
Powerful words.
Yes,
from the bard.
And fury that mean absolutely nothing in the end.
Sound and Fury is also, I believe, an album by Sturgill Simpson.
I believe so. Who has just been putting out.
Who is a country music star, but if you buy Sound and Fury and put it in,
you won't
ready.
Know that.
It ain't country.
Yeah. All right. We won't talk about country music.
All right. I'm going to talk about something really wonderful that I caught, and I've been reading about it and kind of keeping up with it. And it's about a company called Genesis Systems, where they have developed a new way of creating fresh water.
Yes, a new way of creating. Think about that, because people in California aren't showering because they're trying to save water.
And while we've heard these kind of stories before, this one has real meat to it. It's the real deal. They're using technology to generate fresh water on an industrial scale while capturing carbon at the same time.
While capturing carbon.
Yes.
I didn't recognize that part of the story.
The firm's technology scales to produce tens of millions of gallons of fresh water per day while consuming far less energy per gallon than any water purification system in existence today. It has already been vetted by the U.S. Department of Defense. You've heard of them. And it's called the Water Cube.
All right.
It can harvest mass quantities of water directly from the air in places where it's most needed, even in the most arid regions in the world.
Imagine the change that and look, so like what's about to happen in our area, all the bottled water that is about to come in, all that plastic that's going to be disposed of, none of that would be necessary.
Genesis System is expected to grow, obviously, into a multi-trillion-dollar organization. Its water system, running entirely on green energy and renewables, is the only technology in existence that can provide up to 10 million gallons of water per day with no access to a water source.
No access.
With minimal energy requirements. Approximately 0.5 kilowatts or less of energy per gallon.
Wow. What's the name of the man who, do you have his name?
Let me see. Well, I can give you the name of the people that have worked or that are working on this. We have a collection of scientists, engineers, and innovators, such notables as Jordan Noon, former CTO of Relativity Space. We got Dr. Ned Allen, former chief scientist of Lockheed Martin. We've got, these are almost all military people, by the way. Former Governor Matt Blunt, of Missouri, Ambassador James Woolsey, who used to be the director of Central Intelligence.
Okay.
Founded in 2016 with the singular mission of solving global water scarcity.
Wow. A true need, and people who actually can get something done with it. See, when they put their mind together and they do something for positive, look at what gets accomplished.
Yeah, even pre-launch, they have already generated a lot of interest.
I'm sure.
And I should point out, too, that the CEO of the company, A woman.
Oh, wow.
A woman-led company.
Okay.
So all these men
Women do things now.
Yeah, I know, but I think you think about all these men who were leaders of men, and they're all working with this woman. It says Genesis Systems LLC is a woman-led advanced technology
See, we shouldn't
company.
even have to say that anymore.
It is a shame that we still have to say
we have
that.
to point that out.
Anywho, keep your eyes open for
The water cube.
the water cube.
And the changes that could bring
'Cause
to
imagine-
the planet. I know.
Because I think they said that in the average walk, in the world to get fresh water is like a mile.
Yeah.
If you take it out, we walk 10 steps.
We've got stars like Jake Gyllenhaal in California not taking showers to conserve water for his fellow Californians.
Imagine setting up a water cube system in a place that just got hit by, a major hurricane.
Well, I know that was
and set up a couple solar panels
and some water cubes
and start making some fresh water.
That's my point. And then you've got all the waste and disposal that doesn't have to happen with the water, with plastic. And
so things are not all doom and gloom.
no, there are people doing good things, and we're about to watch all of that unfold. In our area,
we're going to witness again without the government's help. I mean, the government will help. I'm
the
sure.
government will help. The FEMA money that was supposed to come to Lake Charles and
will
Louisiana.
be people.
Yeah. So
without being asked, it'll be people.
Those of you waiting for FEMA money in the area, it ain't coming now.
It's probably
it's going to be earmarked for the big cities.
But they always talk about all this stuff, crisis. We have to do something right now, because if we don't, the future's trashed.
Yeah.
And
it can't be unless we're just going to have an asteroid.
Well, that thing about
out.
The butterfly effect. If somebody steps on the butterfly,
it's going to affect everything.
One of my all-time favorite writers has a quote about history and about the universe in general when it comes to these kind of things.
So, are you leaving us with a message of hope?
I think so.
I hope so.
Or just maybe a message of, don't worry quite so much about all of this stuff that is so driven as a crisis.
Yeah, that's shoved at us.
Because
constantly.
history is just going to unfold.
Yes,
anyway.
The wheels keep turning.
Deal with what you can deal with. Help a man if he asks for help. And Terry Pratchett said, the universe doesn't much care if you tread on a butterfly, because there are plenty more butterflies. Gods might note the fall of a sparrow, but they don't make the effort to catch them. Shoot the dictator and prevent the war? But the dictator is merely the tip of the whole festering boil of social pus from which dictators emerge. Shoot one, and there'll be another along in just a minute. Shoot him too? Why not shoot everyone and invade Poland? In 50 years, 30 years, 10 years, a year, the world will be very nearly back on its old course, because history always has the great weight of inertia.
Pushing.
It just keeps going.
Yes.
And the wheel turns.
Thank you for joining us in Long in the Boot today.
Take care, folks, in Louisiana. We'll be back in a couple weeks for our next Long in the Boot. Take care. Bye-bye.